shine. That's not your phrase, is it? It's
No,
marketing time.
rise and shine. It's marketing time. It
Yeah.
depends on what I'm doing. I used to go into a design build environment where we were working hand in hand with the contractor, like rubbing elbows with the contractor government and everything else, the stuff going on outside. And I used to come in this in the door. It was a hockey house, no, not a single window, and I would yell very, very loud, "Rise and shine, it's engineering time." And the rest of the team, they were all excited. They were like, "This is awesome. Let's do it. Let's do it."
Nice.
so it so it's just sort of carried over into whatever I'm doing. So it's
Great.
awesome.
Great. It's
So
not
we
so
must
awesome
what's not so
tech-wise today.
Oh,
Tech.
that's okay. Well, look, for everybody who's watching, listening, and everything else, thank you for your patience. We have gremlins in the machines. There's so many wires and gadgets and gizmos and knobs that whirl over here that sometimes you just turn the thing on and it doesn't work. Then you got to reboot, and then it doesn't want to reboot. And it was sitting there with spinning. It was restarting, restarting, restarting. That's the longest restart on the planet when you have to sit there
Yes.
and wait for it. Other people are waiting for you.
Yes, that is so true.
Oh
So
goodness! So we
true.
didn't have you last week, Mitch. You okay?
No. Things happen around here. God, that's so
Yeah.
bright. That is so bright. I was trying to log into Facebook to make sure we were live over there, but at this
Yep.
point,
Well,
there are people popping in, so
that's
thank you
right.
for
Yeah.
being here.
Yes. Say good morning, you folks. Let us know who you are, why you're here, what's going
Yeah.
on. It's all good.
I have had some definite health challenges this year. Knock on
Yeah.
wood, those are all
Yeah.
past me. Knocking,
Yeah.
knocking, knocking.
There
And
you
then
go.
last Thursday, my mother-in-law had a stroke.
Yeah,
So
not good. Sorry to hear that.
yeah, so my wife is off to the hospital today. We think she's being transferred today to recovery center.
Good.
So yeah.
So rehab in the making here pretty soon.
Yes, yes, we hope it works.
Good.
Anyway, we don't need to dive too far into that.
All right.
Uh,
We
it
won't.
is all part of life that we all have to go through,
Yep. The
or
equation is 1 for 1.
you just die. So,
Right. That's
and
right.
and we're all gonna do that too. Damn it.
That's exactly right. We won't
So,
like it, but it's gonna happen.
well, see the thing. I've thought a lot about death lately. I know that's not why we're here.
Wow. This podcast took a turn. Oh my goodness.
But see,
From
we're
rise and shine, it's marketing time to
we're all gonna
I've been
die.
thinking a lot about death. Dear.
I think
What is
it's
happening?
well, see, there are people who believe in the afterlife.
Yes.
There are lots of people who have different views. I tend to think we're just done when we're done. And so,
Okay.
with that thought in mind, when I'm gone,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm gone. There is nothing left. So, but my fear before that is missing out on everything, right? See, I have this FOMO of seeing
Life.
what happens to my kids, whether or not we make it back to the moon, all these different things. So, anyway, let's see if I can turn that
Oh,
into some kind of
yeah.
marketing talk.
Let's stop waxing eloquent and actually get into something here. Goodness gracious. Oh,
So
so
I was
yeah.
I was speaking this morning with a
Yep.
gentleman who wants to come into my mastermind. Yay!
Yep.
Which
Yep.
is a great
All right.
idea for everybody. But he has sold his pizza restaurant,
Oh.
and he is opening, excuse me, a local marketing agency. And you and I both love that topic.
Welcome to the deep end, brother.
Yeah. So we were briefly chatting on Messenger, and one of the things he said something about, well, I don't want to go too far into the tech side of things, and I'm like, well,
Uh,
actually, part of the struggle that local businesses have is that they don't need the tech. That's why they want to hire you.
yep.
But also, most of these local businesses don't seem to recognize, even now, after this crazy pandemic, that they need to have an email list.
Yeah.
And so as an agency owner, especially a startup one, I said, look, you need to convince them, number one, they need an email list, and you need to manage it for them so they don't have to deal with the tech if that's what they're afraid of. And you show them how that you can bring more people on the list, and once they're on your list, you can always have access to them. And he's like, dang, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I love the show. I would do it different. I wouldn't try to convince them anything.
Oh, okay.
Um, because small business owners, they don't need convincing. They what they're here's what they're focused on. They're focused on going to the store, putting a key in the door, opening it up, and having customers come in.
Yeah.
And when those customers come in, they buy stuff. And having control over the feet hitting the floor inside the threshold is what they care about. They don't care if it's an email address. They don't care if it's an SMS. They don't care if it's a homing pigeon. They don't care if it's a big freaking balloon over their building. They don't care.
Good
What they
point.
care about is making more sales. And so if you try to convince them that what they need is a certain something, I think you're wrong. I think what you
Okay.
do is you go and you sit and you listen and you say, "Hey, look, it sounds to me like you want to have control over your destiny and you want to have this ability to just at any moment in time turn on a flow of traffic. There's lots of different ways to do it. We happen to do it with email addresses, or we happen to do it with SMS, or however it works for them." And I think that that's the biggest challenge is if we start to try to convince the people,
Eh,
we're in trouble. They don't want to hear it.
good point. I think that's a very good point. Yes. But
So
but you are convincing them, but you're just doing it in a subtly different way.
I don't know if I'm convincing them. I'm trying to serve a need,
Well, yeah.
right? I mean,
Yes.
so and I mean, so here's why I say that is that as a business owner, and as a leader in an organization, I've been lectured to over and over and over again about what I need to do in my business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and most of the time I hear it and I go, you know what? I don't really care about what you want me to do. Here's what I need.
Right. Right.
And then when I say here's what I need somebody to go, "Oh, yeah, that's what you need. I can help you get that." Okay, great. Don't convince me anything. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we've learned a lot, right?
Yes.
Over this pandemic. And so this is where it kind of for those that you're watching, I mean, just pop something in the chat box and let us know that you're not dead. But if
Yeah. See, you take it back to death.
that's right.
Way to
Do you
go.
see that? See how I did that? Um, this show is going to be more. We're not even at Halloween yet. It's getting morbid. Um, so part of the thing that happens at the show is that Mitch and I sort of exchange ideas. It would be nice the night before. It never happens that way. It'd be
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great if it were a week before. It doesn't happen like that
Nah.
either. It usually happens an hour before the show or 30 minutes before the show. And Mitch's idea was to make sure we could address this local business concern. And my idea, which was running parallel to his, was what are the 3, 4, 5 different things that we can do this fall to make sure that we finish this year well. And I think that the things that we've learned from the pandemic and what happens with local businesses, I think they all kind of, they sort of intertwine in what can we do this fall to make sure that the rest of the year goes really, really well. So I think it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah. Okay, we're out of time. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Is that your way of getting a hook and making me go away?
No, no, not at all. Because
Oh goodness.
I think you obviously have more marketing expertise with local businesses because you
Yeah.
have more hands-on with them
Yeah.
than I do. So, but I think the obvious statement. See, now you got me being cautious. The obvious statement is that during the pandemic, businesses were struggling getting those people in the door,
Right.
whether even be physically or virtually because they'd
Right.
spent all their time possibly growing their Facebook feed or their Instagram feed without actually ever having a really solid direct way to talk to people.
Yeah, I think that the challenge became they were really good at delivering their goods or services with a specific channel.
Right,
And then all of a sudden someone turned off that channel,
right,
and it's sort of the threat of one, right? What happens if you have one way to do things and something puts a hitch in your giddy up, and all of a sudden you're looking around going, oh man, now I got to relearn it all. Oh
right,
no.
right.
So it's interesting. I was going to ask you, did you notice of the types of businesses what thrived and what didn't thrive? And I'm just curious if your brain has sort of worked on that at all.
Interestingly enough, if I think about, for example, the local news, it seems like they were all focusing on restaurants. It felt like there was a lot of conversation about, well, you need to go out to dinner, even if it's a drive-through or whatever, to support your local restaurants. And there
Right.
wasn't a lot of conversation. I mean, everybody had to get their groceries, right? So that
Right.
everybody's got to eat,
Yep.
right? I mean, everybody's got to have all those. And so there was a group of people, there's a large influx in the shoppers that would do the work for you, so you didn't have to get your hands dirty.
Right.
Um, but I don't recall a whole lot of conversation about all the other mom and pop businesses or all
Yeah.
the other local stuff. It seemed to be focused on those.
Yeah. If you weren't an essential business, especially in the very beginning, you were screwed, right? I mean, the
Right,
government depending on the jurisdiction you were in. And I live in California, right? We were the first county in the United States to go into a lockdown,
right,
and I had an entire team that heard that they got a notice on their phone, and it said go home, lock down, and don't come out.
right,
And all of a sudden, those of us who were running this business go, oh my goodness, what do we do now?
right,
And they just sort of disappeared, right? Well, if you didn't have an essential business, you were told to lock your doors and go home. And the challenge with that was that non-essential businesses could be service businesses, they could be retail businesses, they could be, you know, logistics and storage and all kinds of other things. And that's not necessarily essential, but you still need a paycheck. You still need to be able to pay rent. You still got to be able to pay your employees, and you're apparently now you're paying a whole bunch of employees for sick days and other things that you didn't know were
right,
coming.
right,
And so yeah, we saw, at least out here, we saw a bunch of folks just sort of sit on their hands for a little while until they realize, oh my goodness, we've got to figure this one out. It's not going to be 2 weeks and then we're back in business. Um, so one of the things that I noticed was that if people were in the knowledge business, like they were providing professional services, like marketing, like tech type services, sciences, that kind of thing, they did really really well. They Because they could do it from anywhere,
right,
right?
right,
Um, Also, if you had an information side of your business where you were selling information, you were selling training, you were selling access to multimedia interaction, entertainment, and that kind of thing, you did really really well. But if you were incredibly analog and you had to maintain an inventory and you relied on people coming to your door, you're in trouble
right,
because people
right,
weren't going to your door.
right,
So it's kind of interesting, and I think that if they had a way to reach out and had good promotions while they were reaching out, they'd have done incredibly well.
right,
But
right,
they just they weren't even equipped.
right. And they weren't the length of time that we didn't know how long the lockdown was going to be.
Right.
right? So
Yep.
how much do you switch your business to delivery versus having it in your house, right? Or, people
Right.
coming to you versus taking it to them.
Right.
It's a lot of, and I'm in the Midwest. I live in St. Louis,
Yeah.
and there weren't no lockdowns, right? There was
Yeah.
very different philosophy around here.
Yeah.
Although people weren't going out, right?
Right.
They
Yeah.
voluntarily locked down.
Yeah.
And a lot of the businesses did say, don't come to the office, but you still got to work from home.
Right.
But it's just a very different environment, I think, to what you experienced.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's night and day. I mean, I have friends that live elsewhere, and it was crazy because we're comparing what's happening over here to what they're doing and thinking,
Right.
why is it that we're so dramatically different? And each one of these businesses had tremendously different challenges. So, what's the question? The pandemic was a challenge, but in many arenas, it changed many business models forever. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we're actually looking at now, which we're seeing, it fascinates me, is a productive dollar per square foot of retail space or productive dollar per square foot of professional services space. If you go and you look at what's happening in the commercial real estate market, you're seeing this model play out where companies have now started to realize that they're paying rent for a facility that they don't really need,
Right.
right? Or they may need it, but they need to repurpose it, or they've got to figure out a different way to do things. And it's fundamentally changed what it is we choose to do.
So
Crazy.
the question I guess we should bring it around to is did that in any way change the word of mouth conversation? Did the marketing alter itself in our neck of the woods?
For the stuff that I was exposed to, it it changed the conversation, and it changed our approach. We ended up doing more ad hoc storytelling
Yeah.
than outright advertising. It was really interesting where we had more traction on the sort of personal impact side of the word of mouth, and those people who were prepared with good promotions regularly, they did really well. um and it was a really great way for, I mean, think of what happened, right? Is, oh my goodness, this store is now delivering at the curbside. Well,
Right.
how do we know about that? We knew about that because someone shared it with us. They
Right.
shared it
Right.
generally in text message, right?
Right.
So those of us who were on lockdown, we didn't spend time on social media. I mean, I didn't. Most of us spend it on text messages. We have very private conversations about
Uh-huh.
very challenging things, but we would also share who had toilet paper,
Yeah.
who had who had paper towels, who was where did all the potatoes go. I mean, all those kinds of things. It was a very personal um process, and I think that we have a lot to learn from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we sort of get back to the basics? How do we be personal with the people that we're focused on, and how do we get our friends to share what it is we're doing,
Right.
and how do we message to them so that they can share?
Interestingly enough, I think I saw much more activity in the like local Facebook group. So I live
Oh
in
yeah.
a little small town segment of St. Louis called Brentwood,
Okay.
and that Facebook group lit up with same conversations you were just talking about. Hey, where
Yeah,
do
yeah.
I get formula? Where do I get diapers?
Right.
Where do I get this stuff?
Yeah.
And so in that regard, social media did pop up,
Yeah.
But it's still the struggle of, for putting it in a business perspective, if I have an email list and even if I'm getting really crappy open rates of 10%,
Right.
the social media is still what, 0.7% of the
Yeah.
posts get seen by the people in the group,
Right.
which is
Yep.
why the @everything everyone, have you talked about that lately?
No.
I know you don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, but the Facebook groups, Facebook allowed this everyone tag. So you could do a post that says, hey, and this is the group owner, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
group owner could go, hey,
Yeah.
everyone, @everyone, and
Yeah.
everyone in the group would be notified. And you know
Yeah.
how well that went over.
Wah.
People leaving Facebook groups left
Yeah.
and right, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. It's
Uh,
a
but
mass
that,
exodus.
but if that were available at the peak of the pandemic,
Woof. Easy for you to say.
if that were available earlier on, then that would have been a great way to get
Right.
attention,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then you have the opportunity to get people. But
Yeah.
most businesses, I still think, are focusing on a Facebook business page versus having a group, right? So then it wouldn't
Oh,
apply,
absolutely.
right? So then
Yeah.
so you're still having to like pay for Facebook ads to get in front of anybody
Right.
with a hope and
Yeah.
a prayer.
Yeah, and the difference between sort of just general advertising and direct response advertising, it sort of gets highlighted there too, right? I mean,
Right.
general awareness campaigns, you're just throwing money away. Direct response, where you're asking for someone to take action, give you something in exchange for information, or a free trial kit or whatever it is. Uh, that is fundamentally more measurable, and it is more impactful to people's lives and your business, right? You
Right.
can actually help people and build a database of those folks that should be in a group. And they don't have to be in a group on social media. They could be in a group in your in your database, in your email list, in your text messaging list, and however you want to message to them or however they
Right.
like to be messaged to. You could send them physical mail, right? Hey, look, guess what? Today is the
Yeah.
day. We're doing a sort of special, and come on down.
So the question is, which of those, if you were advising a client, and I think I know what the answer is going to be, which of those databases would you recommend to somebody
All,
if they came to
all
you?
of them, all of them.
Damn, I thought
So
you were going to say it depends.
no, no. So if you're a local business, there's something funny that's happening in the industry. Local businesses do really well in the digital world. There's no doubt about it. It's also interesting if you go back and you look at the amount of mail that you're getting and the type of mail you get. Uh, it's fundamentally dropped way off, where
Yes.
you don't have a mailbox cram full of junk anymore. But if you had their physical address and you could write a very nice personal letter that had a nice story and a really great offer, or sent a really cool postcard, now all of a sudden you're connecting where you don't have a lot of white noise. There is
Right.
white noise kind of everywhere in the market, and I
Right.
think they all work. So I mean, if you can collect physical addresses, if you can collect mobile addresses or mobile phone numbers, and you can collect email addresses, I think that you win, because you're going to be able to run multiple campaigns and multiple media outlets, and you'll have more success.
Yeah. I was just pulling out my mail from yesterday,
Yeah.
because you were talking about physical mail.
Yep.
I can't. I know I just had my hand on it, which is why it frustrates me. But the car repair place that we use
Yeah.
sends out a monthly newsletter.
Yep.
It's a little, folded one sheet that's folded into
Right.
2 pages. But every month they put the customer of the month,
Oh, nice.
and that person gets some free service, right?
Yeah, nice.
I freaking open that thing every month because I want to know if it's me. Now, I don't
That's
always
great.
read the rest of it, but
Who
my
cares?
point,
Yeah,
right? But my
yeah,
point being,
yeah,
they're getting my attention, and they found a way to do it, and it is
yeah.
physical mail.
Yep,
So they do have my address. They've
yep,
also recently upgraded to text messaging, and it
yep.
pisses me off now. Sorry,
Yeah,
it irritates me because they text me like once a week that says, "Hey, we've got some openings. You need to bring in your car." And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"No,
yeah,
no, I don't need that."
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So there's
yeah.
this choice that we're starting to make on how we receive our messaging, and it
Right.
does definitely depend upon how it's delivered and what content they're delivering and everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure.
So, but you're
Yeah,
right, the local mail has decreased, but we still get things like this ad pages that's full of
yeah.
ads and little flyers and stuff.
Yeah, and so back to the local marketing folks that the person who wants to open a local marketing business. If I were you and you were trying to get new clients and you were trying to offer them some really cool things, I would go through the local print ads and figure out who's spending money on advertising and figure out how to have them partner together and then approach each of them individually to say, hey, look, I'm trying to put together this really amazing local package that builds everybody's customer base. Can we work together to do that? I'll either do the campaign pro bono, or I'll do it for, you guys all split my fee 6 ways or 7 ways or however that works out. And now all of a sudden you have folks who are just chomping at the bit to get the results
Right,
that you're able to deliver. And when you do that, you're tapping into their desire, right? Their biggest desire is to make sure that they're getting sales, and they're already spending money on advertising on an awful lot of those advertisements that they've got they can't track. They have
right,
no idea
right,
whether or not it's working.
right.
So you can come in and sort of change the game for them, and they're spending the same amount of money they were before, but now all of a sudden their results are through the roof, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah,
I'm still surprised that any business would spend money on a billboard
yeah,
because I see absolutely no way that spending $1,000, $1,500, and in
yeah,
California it's probably astronomical.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I don't pay any attention to those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that out in California, I mean, probably elsewhere. I mean, they've now created electronic
Well, yeah,
billboards or
yeah.
digital billboards, right? Where the advertisement changes. So so it's not even like you could drive by it and go, "Hey, look, I don't remember what that thing said," and then by day 3, you have actually collected the entire message, right? And you
Right.
might be able to write down or remember the call to action, whether it's texting a message to a number or calling a number or going to a website, right? Which I think that's sort of the benefit to a static billboard, is as long as there's a direct response
Right.
required, you're good. And that same person keeps going by, that sooner or later they're gonna, hey, I remember this. But when you keep changing it on people, it's like whack-a-mole. I mean, really, I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
But they pay good money
Oh,
to
they
be on
do.
the billboard,
They
and they pay
do.
good money to install the billboard.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
gosh, it's
Right.
ridiculous.
It is
So yeah,
ridiculous. The only time I've seen that really work, I shouldn't say only time, uh, between here and Kansas City, which is a
okay,
4-hour drive,
okay,
it's nothing but billboards, right? Between here and there, the highway, because it's this main traffic route.
yeah, yeah,
Even if you're coming from the east, you got to go through St. Louis and Kansas
yeah,
City to go to the west.
yep,
So everybody's going there, and there's several groups of billboards that really work. One of the funny slash unfortunate one is there's a series of adult
oh
stores,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
sure,
they do a really good job of grabbing your attention with
I'm
funny
sure,
jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
But the other is like there's a cavern here in Missouri
Okay.
that and they have these billboards with statistics. And did
Oh,
you
sure.
know that I've forgotten the hoodlum that stole a lot of, they would stash their cash in this,
Oh, okay.
so they do a really good job, and they actually buy barns and paint the
Yeah,
cavern
yeah.
name on the side, and so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that makes a lot of sense because you're driving by, you're
Right.
kind of in the neighborhood. But
Right. Yeah.
this local businesses spending money on, hey, come eat at my restaurant kind of stuff, is, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's a funny thing because, well, do they use progressive, billboards where they start an ad on one and they go to the next one and it just sort of
Yeah,
builds on itself?
yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah,
so and those sort of thematic things work, and it depends on what the ridership is in that area, but, the ambulance chasing attorney and, the HVAC company and, the local appliance repair company, really? I mean,
yeah.
goodness gracious, there's a much better use of your time and money. And look, if you were in a car accident and you're like twisting your head to look at a number, you know, might might not be good for for the lawsuit.
Well, I'll tell you though, in the St. Louis area, there is one ambulance chaser,
Yeah.
and the company name is Brown and Crouppen.
Okay.
Now, and they dominate the billboards in St. Louis. They have just paid for everyone.
Yeah.
And it says, if you're in an accident, or you will be in an accident, so remember our
Right.
name.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
phone number is 888-8888. So they've gotten a really easy phone number to remember. And they just
Sure.
plaster it everywhere. Now there's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
another one that's called Brown and Brown. So they're
Okay.
confusing it because it's Brown and
Right.
Crouppen, and now there's Brown and Brown. But
Yeah.
that's the only time I've really seen it work, because they have plastered it, dominating the St. Louis area.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
ignore that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we
Yeah.
got way down a rabbit hole. I know you need to leave to go
Yeah.
do some fun stuff.
Well, I don't know
We
if it's fun stuff. It's marketing. I'm doing public presentations this morning and tonight,
Nice.
and those presentations have everything to do with us understanding the audience and trying to figure out how to connect with them. So it's rise and shine. It's marketing time.
Nice. So we never really got to the topic of what do you do preparing for the fall. So guess
Yep.
what, Bradley?
Yeah.
That's the
We
next
could
week's show.
let's do it next week. And then we'll have time to prepare. We'll send out emails and get everybody all excited about it. We'll talk about it in our groups, and we'll do all the stuff that we should be doing, other than just
Perfect.
getting on here and winging it.
Winging it.
Yeah,
Hey, that means it's time to land the plane. Speaking
go
of
for it. Do it.
wings,
Mm.
this is the most awkward looking set of wings you ever did see. Hey, Bradley, where can people find you?
Word of mouth marketing secrets.com is still, the masterclass is still available. And then you can email me at bradley@waldropcommunications.com. You can call me at 916-314-0413. And where do they get a hold of you, Mitch?
Mine is here. I'll put it up. If you get on my newsletter, you will get all of the updates from me, and you can simply go to joinmitch.com. That's joinmitch.com to jump on the newsletter and stay updated on everything I'm doing, which is a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I keep seeing stuff that you're releasing, which is great. So stay focused, man. Get it done.
Thank you. I am.
Awesome.
All right. Have a
Have a
great
great day.
presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Knock 'em dead.
All right. I'm
And
going to go break a leg.
and by the way, Mick, thanks for making that comment earlier. And for all the other people, next time when you come to our show, which will be the same time next week, by the way,
Yes.
please make a comment, because it not only helps you get recognized, but it helps us serve more people. So Don't be
Yeah,
shy.
it helps us know what you guys are interested in, and we're
That's
here to
true
help you.
too.
So
That's
that's
right.
awesome.
All right. Thank you, Bradley. See
All right.
you.